Demitri Downing back with another amazing episode of MITA Unshackled, introducing you to some of the cool people in the industry, some of the cool companies in the industry, some of the cool concepts in the industry. I am pleased to be joined by my new friends Nohtal and Arnar from Green Vault Systems and Sorting Robotics here today. And we're going to learn a little bit about them, who they are, what they're doing. This is a very informational, very educational podcast. I've learned a lot from them already, and I hope you do as well. But let's go ahead and introduce them. Nohtal, do you want to go first? I'm not going to try to mess with your last name. I love it. How do you pronounce it?
Partansky.
Partansky. But the way that you pronounced it earlier.
Oh, Partansky.
Partansky. Yeah, all right. You know, with that flair, it sounds like a John Malkovich movie or something. So tell us about who you are and your company.
Cool. So I am actually a former NASA engineer. I worked on the project that's currently on the surface of Mars producing oxygen for about 4 years. And me and my co-founders were working at NASA. And then we started this company, which initially was doing robotics for e-commerce. And then we saw a lot of our friends that were starting cannabis companies. And they needed help on the automation side. So we moved out of e-commerce and started building cannabis back in 2020. We started a co-packing company in Oakland to really learn what it was like to be a cannabis processor, which was a exciting journey. And it also gave us a very unique perspective on what it's like to be in the cannabis industry. We took all those learnings and started building for cannabis manufacturers. And we've been doing that since 2020. And we have a few products now focused on pre-rolls, also on vape cartridge filling and concentrates. So yeah, it's kind of the high level overview of sorting robotics.
And you know, I want to get to the question of what kind of processing and manufacturing you're supporting.
Sure.
And we'll get to that in 1 second. Don't let me forget.
Okay.
But I want to know a little bit more about where you're from. I just love your last name.
Okay.
Like where was you have some sort of a Russian connection? Is that?
Yeah. So my dad was Russian, and then my mom is Mexican.
Your dad and Mayan, you said earlier, right?
Yeah. My mom's grandmother's mother was like in a tribe in Yucatan, the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. So she is like Mayan, like legit Mayan. So
right.
three generations ago.
Yeah, this is going to go out as like one of the MJ BizCon preview podcasts, the kind of people, kind of companies that you can meet at MJ BizCon. And I just love the fact you're Mayan, you're Russian. And Eric, we have a NASA engineer on our podcast.
A real life rocket scientist.
It's been a while since I've worked on rockets.
No, but there's people that buy shirts just because they say NASA.
Yeah,
you know
I have noticed that. It's weird. Sometimes they'll wear JPL shirts, which is the research center that I was working at. And I'll go, oh, cool, where do you work? And they're like, oh, no, I just like it. I'm like, oh.
Well, okay. drop by. Then they both got really cool booths at MJ BizCon. So drop by and say hi to him. Definitely at MJ BizCon. And I just think that's awesome because nobody's wearing a shirt that says Demitri on it.
Yeah.
And maybe one day they'll be wearing a shirt that says Sorting Robotics or Green Vault Systems. Let's hope. Or they're not even wearing a shirt that says MJ BizCon on it, but they wear shirts that say NASA and you work there. So congratulations on your life and your success. And I'm glad that you're in a better industry now.
Thank you.
Just kidding. There's nothing wrong with space. Although, anyway, so let's get Arnar. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Arnar Olgeirsson. I was born in Iceland. Fun fact, I guess. Moved to the United States when I was 4 years old. Kind of grew up in the fish industry, and my background is not as cool as Nohtal.
Well, Iceland is a very cool place.
I wasn't born in Iceland. I wish I was born in Iceland. That sounds cool.
No. Iceland is a very cool place.
It is a cool place.
So is Russia, though, right? Yeah. But you moved from Iceland to where?
To Seattle, Washington. When I was 4 years old. I won't name the dates and date myself, but
that's all right.
It was a long time ago. So my background is in industrial automation. Mainly, I spent 20 years developing automation systems, production systems for meat and poultry applications, fish applications. I was telling Nohtal last night, I'd grown up in the fish industry right out of high school, between college. I it was the natural thing to do. Go to Alaska and go fishing. Realized that wasn't really for me. So
now you're doing sorting robotics. How did sorting robotics come about?
So I'm actually.
Oh, sorry. Green vault system. I'm having a massive sorting robotics right above your head. Green vault system. Sorry.
Yeah. So in being from Washington State, Washington and Colorado were kind of the first, the first recreational markets in the United States, and my business partner and I were working together for almost 20 years at a global engineering company. And when we started seeing we're both aficionados, cannabis aficionados and engineers, and thought, wow, how cool would it be to, engineer and develop systems for that would help the cannabis market, right? Because it was becoming commercialized. It was becoming a legitimate industry. You're not packing into sandwich bags anymore,
right?
know? And net weight packaging is a big part of my background. Developed equipment for some big companies like Tyson and Purdue Farms and Trident
Tyson
Seafoods.
Chicken?
Yeah.
Because there's Tyson, the brand now. I think he's got Tyson 2.0 or something. But go on. So
Tyson Foods, yeah.
Right.
Hormel and.
So when did Green Vault System start?
So in 2016, we kind of saw that the need was real. We went and visited a commercial facility, and had a friend who had a commercial facility in Washington State.
Washington State, good.
Yeah, and we just looked for pain points, right? Like asked him, hey, what's your biggest pain point in your production? And he walked us into his flower packaging room, where he had an army of people sitting at scales weighing out eighths, right, by hand.
Right.
And, there was, if anybody's ever seen hand flower packaging, I mean, it's just handling it, it breaks apart. It's a dry flower. And so that was his biggest pain point. And so we developed a machine to automatically weigh out grams, eighths, and quarters, just to gain efficiency, and we developed what we call air cush technology. We had done the net weight packaging before. There were the main challenges were, when you're packing food, peanuts, things like that, you're packing to ounces and pounds, right? But in the cannabis space, 3.5 grams, it's a very small amount of product, right? Very, very little amount of mass. So weighing to that level of accuracy was one of the challenges, and then the product itself was very it's
crumbly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the word.
Yeah. So
falls apart easy.
Weighing to 100th of a gram, that had been done, so we did that. That's no problem. But we developed air cush technology, and air cush uses air to move the product. So there's no traditional methods of weighing out food products like peanuts and coffee beans and things like that. You use vibratory and mechanical means of movement. That does, if you try doing that with cannabis flower, you're gonna knock off the trichomes. That's how you separate trichomes.
Right.
Literally is by vibrating.
So I want to get deeper into exactly, and you're getting into the weeds, which is very, very good. The nuances. I just want to get to how Green Vault and sorting robotics came together, and how the evolution of Green Vault. So you had your first product, and we'll get into that first a second. How did you guys connect sorting robotics and Green Vault systems? When did you guys connect together?
Funny story.
Then go ahead, Nohtal.
So when we started the cannabis co-packing company, we started it with a few partners from plant touching operators. So sorting robotics didn't exactly start the company. I kind of broke off and helped build this co-packing company. One of the partners in that co-packing company was Arnar's customer. And then he introduced us, and Arnar was cool, and so I was like, this is my friend now.
What year was that? What year was that?
It was 2019.
2019.
Yeah, it was 2019.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like late 2019, early 2020, because we started the co-packing company like May of 2019, and then, or sorry, not May of 2020, and then, but we met before that, and then when we really got going at the end of 2020, that's when we were working together a lot. And we also built some technology together too. So, yeah.
So yeah, and I want to talk a lot more about you guys, you know, and we could talk about all the nuances about how your technology works and all that kind of stuff. But I think people will get to know you. Most people watching this podcast will be at MJBizCon.
Cool.
And you guys have two of the best booths and the best locations at MJBizCon. So I want people coming to you and say, "Hey, Nohtal, we saw you on that podcast." We went so, but I want to get to that. And your whose idea was it to propose an automation pavilion over at MJBizCon? It won't be there for 2023, but maybe 2024, because it seems it's so important. You know, that's a great idea. But it seems like a small. How many people are there? How many companies are there working and focused on automation? You know, I mean, is that you know, just like that must be a small universe.
Yeah, like less than 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's less than 10.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the future.
Right.
That
There are some crossover companies that take technology from other industries and try to adapt it to cannabis. But there's only a handful of us that are truly cannabis developing equipment and automation for the cannabis space. And
Right.
we happen to be two of those.
Yeah.
and
handful
very
of people.
cannabis centric
Yes.
automation. Why is it? And you were touching on that with, you know, in that one particular example. But why is it that you need individuals who? I'm not a manufacturer. You know, I don't know factories. I don't know the difference between a Coca-Cola factory and a chicken factory. Why is it that people with a cannabis area expertise? It might seem like an obvious question, but maybe you could elaborate on it. Why is it that people with a cannabis area expertise need to be the ones helping bring in all these automated technologies that exist in other factories and manufacturing centers into cannabis?
Well, you know, the cannabis industry is very unique. The product is very unique. You know, there's very few products that exist that, number one, is a dried flower, you know, that crumbles basically when you touch it. And also, like I touched on before, there's very few products that are weighed in a 3.5 gram, you know, net weight capacity, or that, you know, you're rolling, you know, there's just a lot of unique aspects to the product, to the industry.
Yeah, it's very much a material handling problem, right? So the best solutions usually come when you optimize for the base problem. And the base problem in cannabis is that this material is unlike anything that's been done before. It's not another gummy, right? It's not another jar of material. It's this flower that crumbles into dust if you handle it too aggressively. It's cannabis distillate that has this nonlinear correlation between temperature and viscosity. There are very few things in the manufacturing world that behave like the things that we're handling. And so when you approach that problem from like a first principles sort of solution base, you tend to optimize for the specific like idiosyncrasies of this like problem set of cannabis. And that's usually when you get very good solutions, right? If you try to take something from another market, it was probably built by a guy who's thinking like us, but for a different market. And so trying to rejigger something usually doesn't work out. It might be able to get you that first step, but it's not going to be able to get you the true optimization that most people are looking for.
So tell me, you guys have been in the space for a while. Tell me about you guys. I want to hear some about your favorite projects, favorite success stories where you guys have been able to come in. I know you were starting to get in depth about the one in 2016, but I'm sure there's been many more. So I want you guys to talk about some of your success stories and how you've helped people. But first of all, I want to make a comment. I love the way that you present things. You remind me of like my best friend who's also an engineer.
Okay.
We tailgate. You guys sound exactly like I'm like, and I've learned that you just if you find a good engineer, just turn your problems over to them. They'll fix everything. So I love that. I love that.
That's what we like to tell our customers.
Yes. So, okay, sorry, go ahead. I'm like thinking to myself, our space program is in good hands, but you're no longer there. So,
Yeah.
anyways, our cannabis is in good hands.
There's a lot of other smart people that work at NASA.
Yeah. I've just never met a NASA engineer before. I feel kind of honored. It's kind of cool.
Well, I'm no longer a NASA engineer. So
no, but you were once,
Once.
I don't think, maybe I don't
Once
get
a
out of
Marine,
it.
always a Marine. Same thing goes for NASA, I guess.
Projects. What, in your experience over the years, what kind of projects has Sorting Robotics worked on? And let's start with sorting, and then we'll go to Green Vault, and then let's talk about joint projects. But what kind of projects have you worked on, and who you work with to help?
So we worked on a few, trying to find high value projects and then trying to explore different product verticals that help the industry, whether it's the present day industry or the industry of tomorrow when scale really gets to become a piece of concern. And we've done things. So Sorting Robotics came from when we were in a previous industry, but we also did sorting of biomass, which was our first kind of approach into this industry to figure out how we could do quality control for biomass and cut flower and see if we could optimize that. We also then moved into the pre-roll space. So we have a machine called the GECO robot, which is a system that infuses pre-rolls in a method of injection. And that system also can create hash holes in an automated fashion. We basically pioneered that part of the industry and released that product back in 2021.
The hash hole? You pioneered the hash hole?
No, we didn't pioneer the hash hole. No, that was done by like Fidel's and the Cookies guys. They kind of really made that famous. No, we pioneered the injection method of infusion. Yeah, so our system goes through and injects a column of concentrate down the center of every joint or blunt. And so it works with distillates, live resins, rosins, kind of the whole range of concentrates as long as they melt down. So that was like our main thing. And then we kind of started expanding into pre-rolls more broadly. And then we worked on some vape cart filling to do high velocity, high precision, pharmaceutical grade vape cartridge filling. So we've tried a lot of things. We've also built ERP software for the co-packing company that we helped build. Like you could do trimming, enterprise resource planning. So tracking every single trimmer's losses and untrimmables and smalls and bigs. We've done a few things, and our main thing is mostly the pre-roll and vape space.
Yeah, I'm thinking some individuals who are watching this who think like, I need to work with this guy. I hope I can afford him. But, I'd say first go to meet them at MJ BizCon. And it's what a unique opportunity because this podcast is coming out next week. Cool. People will watch it, come by. You can always reach out to their website, emails, etc. after MJ BizCon. But definitely take that opportunity to come by their booth because everything is going to be highlighted there and there's plenty of time to talk. But, the future is... I'm thinking to myself, that injection process. What did they do before that?
So we made
and is it the case that anyone not using an automated injection process is just going to keep paying too much for production?
Yeah, it's more of a consistency thing in this situation. So we developed this product at the end of 2020, and so in 2020, people weren't really doing infused pre-rolls. And pre-rolls wasn't even a large part of the market back then. I think it wasn't even 10% of the market back in 2020. And pre-rolls has almost doubled since 2020. And then infused pre-rolls are now, in some cases, 50% of the pre-roll market. And so back in 2020, when we were, when I was, heading up this co-packing company, we did everything there. And so we serviced a lot of brands in the Bay Area. So they did we did trimming, we did bagging. I had one of Arnar's machines. That's why we were working together so much. And then we had customers ask us to make the fuzzy style tarantula pre-rolls. And that was so difficult and kind of labor intensive and wasteful that we wanted to build something that was addressing those two problems, reducing the labor and reducing the waste. And that's when we figured out, oh, why don't we inject it down the center and make a calibrated system that would be precise and be able to scale well with this technology, because we were very bullish on pre-rolls becoming a much bigger part of the marketplace. And I think we still are.
Yeah.
People are lazy and they want to just hit a pre-roll. They don't want to bring
And
a
they want
jar
it
of
always to be
bud.
the same.
Yeah. And they want it to be consistent.
So what were people doing? How were they infusing pre-rolls before it became automated more?
So the keefing thing is something that people were doing before. They were also mixing in just crushed diamonds, like THCA diamonds.
Right.
Or they were spraying the flower with distillate and then kind of mixing it together. There were some limitations with the mixing part of it. One is that you really don't get an even distribution because it's trying to mix THCA and straight flower. And so it's not going to be fully homogenized no matter how much you spin it in your tumbler, because they're just different densities and there's nothing uniformly distributing those two materials. Same thing with the spraying of the flower. It would be so sticky that you couldn't even put it into a knock box. And so they'd have to figure out other ways to do it. So those just led to like poor consistency. And that's what the injection system allows people to do. High consistency, high precision, and way less labor than like painting stuff.
You know, I had a vision. I want to hear your story about your projects and your stuff too. But I had a vision. I'm sitting here listening. I'm thinking to myself, everybody's always like, because investors watch this stuff too, and people are always trying to figure out what's next.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know any investors, but you know, they're talking about the picks and shovels of the cannabis space.
Yeah.
You guys are like the bulldozers and the backhoes of the cannabis space.
Picks and shovels will take you only so far.
Am
right?
I catching?
Yeah.
Am I catching on here?
Yeah.
Has
Sooner or
anybody said
later,
that?
you're going
Has
to need a
anybody said that
backhoe
before?
if you want to
Yeah.
scale.
That's not an original thought.
No, unfortunately it isn't. But
you see how
made it
cold
sound
he
really
is?
great.
Yeah.
You know,
But you hit the nail on the head, right?
I know.
That is
I
a
love
great
that.
analogy.
No, it is. I thought I was like being clever, and you're like, no, you're not. Sorry, your turn. Tell us about some of your favorite projects and what you guys do. You get into those nuances now.
Yeah. So, I talked earlier about being specialized. Like, not only is Green Vault Systems cannabis centric and exclusive, we're even further niche. We're flower specific, right? Like our place in the industry is automating the weighing and packaging of flower, right? Eighths and quarters, and so when we first developed the precision batcher, what's now the precision batcher, we had to overcome, the technology for net weight packaging was not new, but like I said earlier, the small weight denominations, that was unique, and then the product itself, very unique, right? So developing air cush and automating that process, developing the precision batcher, and seeing that become over the course of the last since 2016, which isn't that long ago in the history of time, but in the history of the cannabis space, that's an eternity, right? And it's so different today. Now seeing the precision batcher be the industry standard, right? We have 180 systems in 30 different states.
180 systems in 30 different states.
In 30 different
That's pretty good
states.
success.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, and actually when we ran our co-packing company, we gained some customers because we had Arnar's machine. So like there were a couple Bay Area clients that they tried to buy one of these like Chinesium sort of machines and batch out their flour, and it would degrade their flour so significantly that they just kind of abandoned it. And they went with my co-packing company at the time, and they said, oh yeah, well this one is going to be a lot softer because it uses like puffs of air to move the material around. So we actually gained clients in our co-packing company because we had his system.
Your system uses the softer approach.
Yeah.
Right. And when you're automating a process like that, you're looking to gain efficiency, right? But you're also looking to gain yield, get the best yield out of the product. So you don't want to break it apart because now you've degraded the product and you have less sellable flower, right? But also, yeah, so the product quality, the efficiency,
The consistency.
and consistency.
That's
the other
everything.
thing. You know, there's a lot of brands out there, you know, premium brands. You don't want your customer to walk into a dispensary, buy your stuff, and then have like a bunch of crumble in there, you know, when they think they're getting
It's just all
premium
smalls.
flower.
Yeah, it's just all smalls. There's like no nugs.
Yeah.
Like, what's going
And
on?
that's another thing that's unique to this industry and to our equipment specifically, is that not only can we batch out eighths, you could also program the machine to say, I want 6 to 8 buds in there, but I want those 6 to 8 buds to weigh 3.52 to 3.58, right? With never being underweight, never being overweight. So you get that product consistency.
So you guys are working with indoor grows, greenhouse grows, outdoor grows.
Co-packers.
Co-packers, yeah.
You know, so just about anyone who's in cultivation and manufacturing should be reaching out to you guys to say, what could we be doing better? And I imagine there's probably problems that you guys are still uncovering and going to be finding solutions for as well.
Oh yeah, we got a whole list of product roadmap that we're just kind of checking things off, because especially when we were doing the co-packing, we saw like every single problem firsthand and felt it, and both monetarily and also just through the grind. So there's, I would say, at least 6 or 7 additional products that we'll probably pursue over the next 3 to 5 years to fully automate the industry. A lot of them joining with Arnar system, joining with other automation pieces that are just critical to making sure that cannabis can really scale from where it is today to tomorrow.
Here's where I want to make sure that you guys aren't taking advantage of, because if I'm out there in the industry and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I got to keep up with the Joneses, I got to focus on automation, I got to know what's next, got to call these guys, have them come over. Do you guys consult as well? I know you guys have your products and your machines that you sell and stuff. But do you guys also do like consulting? I mean, your companies or as a group, or how's that work?
That's actually a great question. That's a huge part of the product we bring to the market. The value we bring to the market is we work with our customers, our clients. Basically, what I ask them is, tell me what you want your end product to look like, and I'll engineer the system backwards to make that happen, right? And we build our systems to be modular, so that, you know, for different applications, people want to do automatic labeling. Some people will have that as a separate process. What's the shape of your room? Like, what's the size of the space we're working in? And so, yeah, a lot of that is just working with them to make sure that what we deliver as far as a system is exactly tailored to their application.
That's cool. It's like a hybrid between selling products and servicing people.
Right.
I like that. And do you guys offer that kind of same service?
Yeah, same thing. I think that's probably one of the strongest value propositions of automation companies today. At least in the cannabis industry, I know that
I guess
many of us-
automation dudes.
Automation dudes. Yeah.
We nerd out.
Yeah, we nerd out.
on
We
that
figure
kind
it
of
out.
stuff.
I said dudes. Just kidding. But I like that. Automation dudes, not automation nerds, automation dudes. You guys are cool, you know? I mean, it's like, you're the kind of guys that I want to invite over and say, hey, check out my facility. Let me know what I can do better. What do you guys have to offer me? But I just like to, you know, bring that up. Sorry. Because some people are just always like, I want to tap these guys for their knowledge. You know, obviously, clearly they're experts. But I want to make sure that check out the consulting thing. So, but go ahead. You were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a strong part of the sales process, and then also the continuing customer quality process. Because on our side, we're focused a lot on the pre-roll side of things, and customers will come to us and say, I want to do infused. Maybe they have pre-rolls, maybe they don't even have pre-rolls at all. They'll say, what is the best path forward for me? What should I be looking at? What do the SKUs normally look at? Even our installation technicians, they're helping formulate those production lines and those product lines. So it's very important that I think that is something you get from an automation provider, which is why the cannabis specific automation providers are very important, because we can actually help you build your next SKU and help improve your company, because we've just seen so many people and done it for so many other people. We know how to optimize what's going to work for you in your market. And if you go to one of these Me Too type companies that said, oh, we're doing this in food and beverage, maybe we'll do it in cannabis, they have no idea how to help you. They're going to give you a block of metal and say, this is how it kind of works. Kind of.
Yeah. Figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out, right? And it's just not going to be super helpful for anyone involved.
Right. You're not just buying, when you're buying automation equipment, it's not because it's a cool toy, right? It's because you're trying to solve a problem.
Right.
And you're not just buying that piece of equipment, you're buying a NASA brain, right?
Right. No, you guys have the team behind it to support.
Right. We have, our customer success is our success, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we want to see them succeed, which is why we include, free phone and remote support for the lifetime of the machine, because we want them to call us if they have a question, right? Hey, how do I do this? Because we want to see them succeed.
If I'm like a master grower, I'm like thinking to myself, how do I get into their company?
Yeah.
Because that's the future,
Yeah.
And it's about aligning yourself with ancillary providers that are going to help your business grow, right? Because it's not just like kind of what Arnar said. You're not just really buying a machine. You're buying a partner for the lifetime, really, of your business. Because the worst thing you can do is spend a couple $100,000 on something and then have to scrap it and then eventually buy Arnar's machine. If you're trying to like start your packaging, like say, we know a ton of these indoor growers, I got 30, I got 50 rooms, and I want to start going to market with an in-house brand. And then they try to go the cheap way and just get something off some Chinese website and, oh yeah, this will work. And then they spend, maybe some of the money up front, but then it's mostly just the wasted time and the lack of guidance.
Right.
But someone like Arnar and myself, we can help you cut through all of that.
Because we've done it before.
Like hundreds of times.
So we're going to run a test. I'm going to type in here on Google, I'm in the cannabis industry and I'm ready to automate. Who do I go to? And if Nohtal and Arnar don't pop up, we've got to improve our SEO.
Yeah, sounds great.
Because
talk to our
we need that. That will be
marketing
our
people.
catchphrase. So there'll be little photos of them. You know what I'm saying?
No, that sounds good.
I can't tell you all the things that I Google, but sorry, just had a flash.
Maybe you shouldn't.
No, I know. Yeah, I had a flashback there for a second, finding out something was illegal. It's like, doesn't matter. Google tells you. But you guys should be at the head of Google. So I mean, because that you guys are clearly the go-to guys to talk to, and I would definitely reach out to you guys. Let's get into contact information, and then we can close out with anything that I missed about Sorting Robotics or Green Vault Systems that you want to highlight. But how do people best get in touch with you?
I would say I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
Yeah, I've been kind of blowing up on LinkedIn a little bit, making posts, trying to
kind of a big deal.
No. I'm just trying to enrich the community with some of my LinkedIn posts. And then also sortingrobotics.com.
Yep.
If you reach out on the contact form, me, my sales team, marketing team will all see it and be very attentive to replying to any of your inquiries. I would say the website is probably the best because most people will see that, and LinkedIn just all see it. Excellent.
And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? And then you can think of your closing thoughts.
Yeah, same. We're active on LinkedIn. We're active on Instagram. We're also, our website, greenvaultsystems.com is you can find out. We have ROI calculators. There's a lot of information in there, and also, of course, our contact info at greenvaultsystems.com.
You do have a nice website.
Thank you.
Any other Instagram or Facebook, anything? You guys?
That's my lovely bride to thank for that. She's our marketing director, and she does a great job.
All right, cool. Closing thoughts about Sorting Robotics.
Sorting Robotics is here to sophisticate the cannabis industry, and I hope you guys will reach out so we can help you sophisticate your business and expand it to greater heights. Thank you.
Green Vault.
Green Vault Systems, we're here to support and gain efficiency in flower packaging and weighing and packaging automation. We're like Nohtal, we're continuously developing new products to gain higher efficiency. And so we're here to grow with the market and yeah.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure learning from you guys. You guys make me wish I had a plant touching business so I could utilize myself. We do a lot of education, networking, business development, etc. But I actually sat in a cultivation, tried to build it in 2015.
Oh yeah.
But it was just so lonely, because it was just contractors and it was lonely. But I've always thought about getting back off the sidelines. But when I do get back off the sidelines and get back into the game, you guys will be two of the first people that I call.
Sounds great.
So, excellent.
Yeah.
So this has been great.
Appreciate it,
And drop by their booths. They're going to be predominant. What's the word? They're going to be, what's the word? The showcase right in the middle of MJ BizCon. There's a word for it. Sorry, my head's blanking there. Drop by, visit them. They're very interesting guys. And we appreciate you listening to this episode of Mita Unshackled, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Demitri.